What is up, bros? In today's video, we are diving into this Tier 6, currently work in progress premium battleship, the Prinz Eitel Friedrich. Now, I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. Just throughout this video, I'm going to call it the Prinz Friedrich to not confuse with any of the current ships in the game. But we're just going to call this one the Prinz Friedrich. And at Tier 6, it's getting really into a populated tier. Lots of Tier 6 battleships. These are all the Tier 6. There's 4 premium battleships already for this tier. It's a really good tier, I think, for battleships. A really fun tier. And this is actually kind of getting I would say, a unique role that this tier has kind of been missing. Now, I know you can spec some of the other battleships out for it. But this is actually that kind of fun, which I really, really enjoy, of a high AA battleship. And we'll get to that in a second. But kind of what we see as like the Texas at Tier 5. But let's just dive into the stats. 52,300 HP. This is actually pretty competitive. It's a bit on the lower end, but it's pretty competitive compared to everything else. Everything kind of hovers around that 54, 55k. So nothing you're really going to be missing out. You're not going against like a monster at other tiers where, you know, there's a big health gap. It's all pretty competitive, right around that 55k. So a tad low, but nothing too crazy. Armor layout is pretty solid. You're going to kind of play this at range. That's one thing I noticed. It wasn't a super brawling battleship. The playstyle of this, to me, was imagine a Scharnhorst without torpedoes. That's kind of how it plays. You can kind of use it, and it has a relatively fast reload, but you're not going to be brawling like you would in some other stuff. 25mm plating throughout, so that's going to be pretty basic for this year. Almost every battleship has 20mm plating, and we were taking some hits, definitely. I didn't feel like I was getting citadeled off the planet with this, but overall we were taking some pretty big hits. But since it is kind of a lower profile ship, it seems like it's not super high compared to, let's say, like the New Mexico, compared to like the Baron, which I think sits higher in the water. It's a lower profile ship, so maybe that kind of helps it out with some of the wonky dispersion at this tier. Main battery is 4x2, so you're shooting out 8 shells of 350mm, which are pretty big shells. Downside, again, to me, with the reload of 24 seconds, it plays a lot. The gunplay, to me at least, was a lot like the Scharnhorst, although the Scharnhorst definitely has a different caliber shell. But the dispersion to me felt a lot like it. And one thing that I noticed, it seemed like I was hitting, obviously, battleships harder, which the Scharnhorst kind of, I would say, lacks a little bit. Bigger hits on battleships, but I was getting more overpens on cruisers. So a bit of a give and take there, but definitely a devastating power with these guns at 350mm. They are almost kind of like a sweet spot, it seems like, for this. So having that fast reload is really nice. It's almost kind of like that battle cruiser play, which is a lot of fun. Secondaries are pretty nice, but the range is pretty mediocre at only 6 kilometers. But when they are working, they do pop off pretty quick. But only 6 kilometers. We aren't spec'd out for it at all. AA, this is where this thing shines. We'll get to it in a second. But 28 knots, which is pretty good. And one thing, this isn't even a concealment expert captain, but this ship is very stealthy for this tier. 12.4 kilometers, and that's without a concealment expert battleship captain. So that's actually pretty nice. You're going to be kind of there with a lot of cruisers. But tier 6, I mean, comparing it to, like, let's say a Fuso at almost 19k without a concealment expert, it's pretty damn stealthy for a tier 6 battleship. But what makes this thing insane, and what makes me love this ship, is tier 6 right now is full of CVs, sometimes double CVs, tier 5, tier 6, tier 6, tier 7, 2 tier 6s, 2 tier 5s. As you can see with the modules, we have it spec'd out for the AA range, as well as the auxiliary armaments to keep them healthy, adding 100% life to them. And then our captain is basically filled out. This is one of my extra Scharnhorst captains, filled out for complete AA destruction, so we don't have concealment or anything like that. But complete AA. So when we're looking at these values, think of it with these additions right here, as well as the range. So we get out to 6 kilometers. Actually 6.5, and with that we're pumping out 160 AA, and I believe somebody worked out the math, and it's like 365 DPS at 6.5 kilometers if you're control clicking on it, because we have manual AA. That is insane. If you guys want to know, just looking at this without even the manual AA, looking at this 160 damage per second. If we go to another well-known tier 7 high AA ship called the Atlanta, now this is without a captain in it, of course, but the Atlanta has 121. at 6 kilometers. Of course, it would be at 7.2. This is, of course, with a captain that's spec'd out for it with BFT, AFT, well, basically BFT. So you are actually pumping out more passive AA than an Atlanta, a tier 7 cruiser. So it's pretty much, to me, how I would talk about the Prince would be a, let's say, a Scharnhorst without torpedoes with an Atlanta on top of it. That's how I would kind of explain this ship. And it's so much fun. You will see what kind of destruction I can do to a CV. And I just loved every game I got into playing against CVs because I love high AA ships. I absolutely love high AA ships. But anyways, let's dive into some gameplay. We'll go over it, and I'll go over the strengths and weaknesses of the ships. And we'll see what this ship plays like, especially with CVs. So here we are in game with the Prinz Friedrich, and the matchmaking gods have given us a double CV game, which is amazing. This is what you want to see. The more CVs, the better, because you are an AA platform. And one thing I really liked about this ship, and this is probably out of the last batch of work in progress ships we've gotten to play, this is probably one of my favorite ships to play. I like high AA ships. I think they're fun. I think they are. It's nice being able to be a very strong role specific ship. The ship is very stealthy. It's relatively quick. I think it's a good flex ship if you need to get from one side to the other. So I like having that being a very strong role ship, because when you do that, you can have a massive impact on the game. Because it's not like even if these two CVs wanted to go against me and really wanted to kind of do that, as long as I'm going away or to have some kind of evasive maneuvering, I will have a massive impact and just be able to like absolutely shred their planes. We did a test actually in the training room with this ship, same loadout we have right now, going against 3 Ryujos. So what we did is we only stayed going forward. That's all we did. We didn't move. We didn't turn left. We didn't turn right. We autopiloted right from one cap to the other, and we were able to shred. I think it was like 73 planes before they eventually killed me off, and that's without any evasive maneuvering. So this is no joke. Like, the Texas is strong at tier 5 for AA because you're going against tier 4, tier 5 planes. This is, I would say, almost another level. As I said, you're pumping out more DPS. Obviously, the Atlanta is going to have an AA consumable, so it's of course going to pump it up. But within that 6.5 kilometers, you're pumping out more AA than an Atlanta can passively. So that's extremely strong and can almost be game-changing when it comes to this. So this is still work in progress, so that's why potentially I think that it might change. Obviously, you can see right here at 6.5, we're going to start popping off planes almost immediately, and boom, 2 planes. Now they're tier 5s, but still 2 planes gone already. So yeah, it's pretty good. And one thing you want to watch is kind of watch the dispersion with the 8 shells going out. It's gonna look to me, and it feels like when I was playing it, feels very Scharnhorst-esque. So if you've ever played the tier 7, yes, before the comments are all blown up that they're different guns, it's a different shell caliber, different, to me it felt a lot like I was playing a Scharnhorst when it came to the guns. The only times I noticed that there was a difference is against really battleships, and what I mean by that is you just hit battleships harder. But the fast reload I really liked. Adrenaline rush, of course, since you are a battleship with a decent amount of health, you will get to work that a lot more. But the only time I really noticed a difference is when I was actually hitting battleships. Obviously, that was a terrible example, only doing 1,000 damage to that Baron, but you'll see it as we go. And you do get the occasional, overpens on cruisers, and so you'll actually see me kind of get picked on by these guys a little bit, and a little mediocre dispersion on these guys. So sometimes this thing will shoot god tier dispersion, and other times it'll shoot kind of mediocre dispersion. It's very hit and miss. It's very German when it comes to that. If you've ever played German battleships, you know for a fact that it's just, you're gonna get either a good salvo or a bad salvo. Luckily, these things tend to reload pretty quick, and you can then start just working them down. So what I'm trying to do though is I'm trying to set up, since it is a double CV, I'm trying to protect my fleet as much as possible, and really trying to get to where my CVs are putting planes. Got a little unlucky here, taking a torp. But if I can get to where, I forgot, streamer RNG. But I mean, as you can see right here, just control clicking, we almost take out an entire squad before they even got there. We're gonna start working down these torp bombers, and there's really nothing they can do. Is this AA too strong? Now we are completely spec'd out for it. So this is what a captain what an AA captain looks like. I mean, this is, I think I need, what would you need to run this captain? You would need like a 17-point captain to run this. So is this a build that most people would run? Probably not, but this is what you want to look at for the potential of this ship, of just being able to pick on CVs and they just can't do anything. So already 13 planes in the first few bits, but I'm trying to basically be a platform for my CVs to strike stuff and then protect their planes, especially fighters. At this tier, the fighters, there's so few that if you can shred an enemy CV of their fighters, then their strike planes can, then of course they're going to win that air control fight. So the Buddy, one of my favorite tier 6s, is going to show why the Buddy's so strong and such a good ship, and we're going to try to pick out a few more ships, or a few more planes in the sky, and we're going to get pretty unlucky here with salvos, but don't worry, we'll make up for it later in the game. But yeah, right there, very German dispersion, but again, good thing is you have a fast reload. But this ship is just, it's fun for me. I really enjoy ships that you can be extremely effective, and that's exactly what this ship can do. You can control, I mean, their CVs have to start striking the other side, or they're just going to lose their planes. We've already shredded, especially at this tier, with how few planes they actually have. You just can't continue to throw your planes at a high AA ship like this because you'll get burnt out. I mean, you'll have nothing left. So, and unlike, let's say, in like Atlanta, I can go open water because I have the health and I have that. So there we go. That's one thing too I kind of noticed, that I was getting a lot of overpens on cruisers. That's probably just the lower armored cruisers, especially at tier 4s, tier 5s, that you'll potentially go. I guess not really tier 4s, but tier 5s, even tier 6s, compared to, let's say, other battleships higher tier, that you just won't have. They won't have the armor to take basically the full pens. So I was seeing a lot of overpens. I wish you could kind of show it, but again, we're gonna see this guy. He's gonna send his planes. A lot of CVs at this tier aren't gonna be the best. So if they potentially want to take the battleship down, they can. But right now we're getting a little picked on. We're losing some AA, so we're gonna try to rotate to the other side. They haven't really launched too many more planes. We're gonna focus on these and start shutting them down. I mean, we're already at 14, only 20k so far, but we are kind of getting picked at these cruisers, and I mean, that's what they can do. So again, though, this Independence is basically throwing his planes at me, and there's that A going to work again. 3 planes already, and I think we get 4, maybe 5. Oh, yeah, he's out of my AA range now. We got 4, almost over half the squad. I think I even said at the start of the game. See, that was a perfect example of what these shells felt like when they were on point and hitting hard. Right there was that basically a bow in New York that hit him for 16k. I feel like a lot of other battleships at this tier probably would have bounced a lot more shells there. Well, when I compare it to like the Scharnhorst, it would have bounced a lot more. That one, we pumped in a nice salvo. That's where I noticed like the 350 millimeters was really effective, was basically on battleships. So we're gonna rotate over to the other side. This side, I would say, was kind of lost, but we're starting to lose our other side. We were basically down ships almost this entire game, so it's time for us to start rotating over. I feel pretty confident taking out a few, and I just don't want to mess with that. But Yanni's, he's had my number all game, so I don't want him to burn me down. Obviously, we're down to 20k life. Adrenaline rush, heck yeah. And we'll actually see what the reload's down. We'll actually get some more life here, but I want to keep, because we've worked down a lot, probably over half of the Independence in this hangar, so we want to start working down this the Zuiho, because he's basically out free range and hasn't really had to worry about anything. So take down some of his planes and we'll have a pretty good advantage. I think our guys still have pretty decent air control, and as long as they have the ability to drop on stuff, then we'll hopefully win this long game. You know, us getting those planes out of the sky will give us an advantage as the game goes. So if you ever hear me talk about that, winning the long game when it comes to CVs, winning the long game, and what that means is CVs have such an impact on the game right now that if a CV has planes, a better CV will just kind of win over time because of the impact of their planes. So deplaning a CV is very, very important, because if you do that, then you'll just have more vision, more everything, and you can then just slowly but surely win the long game, extending the game out, and going that. My aim was actually off a little bit on this ship. You'll see that on this. It feels they were a little lofty compared to a lot of stuff. That's the downside of doing a lot of a lot of work in progress ships at one time is really getting off on your shot. So we were down a little bit, but I think I get it in right here. I think that shot was a little bit better. That might still be a little lofty. Yeah, we got there. So we're getting our shot back, but we protected our CV, which is great. We're keeping an eye on where the two destroyers are, so they're down there. So basically, I'm gonna push up this side, and there's nothing this team can really do. The good part is I have this point right here, so I will get anything that's gonna go mid, and I'll get anything that's going to try to get any kind of angles on me. Again, these CVs can't drop me. There's no way the Zuiho can. 18 planes already, a kill, 37k. And we're going to start working a little bit overtime here because we are down ships. We're not that healthy. And one of the ships we really need to worry about, though, is that Hatsu. But I think our CVs get on point and start working that. Or no, actually, I think our Farragut rotates back. But yeah, we're going to rotate this way, push down. And this is the ability of this ship to then flex, right? This is the strength. If I was in, let's say, an Arizona or a Warspite or insert whatever other tier 6, or even like a Fuso, I feel like they lack the presence that this ship can have compared to those. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a Fuso, that CV drops me all day. If I'm in Arizona, that ship drops me all day. Maybe like a Baron deters it a little bit, maybe that. But since I am this ship, this is the only one that can just float by itself. And that has a lot. That has a lot going for it, right? Like, what's he gonna do? Is he just gonna throw his planes at me? He doesn't want to do that. He needs those planes. It's too close. So this is basically the only plane that is gonna have the ability to, or the only ship that's gonna have the ability to kind of do this, right? That's going out there saying, "Hey, let's go. If you want to drop planes, or you're gonna have to try to stop me or something." But there's just no way, right? So I will push through this cap, and the only things that are really gonna stop me is this destroyer in their mid, which we don't see right now, so that was a little scary. But now I have broadsides on these cruisers, which is great, and we can help that. And there we go. We'll just completely shred that that whole CV's squad right there. Honestly, nothing you can do. We'll start working on those. You can't see the control clicks on the replay, but obviously I'm control clicking on all that stuff and just working on this strike. So here's a couple extra squads here. I was hoping to not get murdered by that guy. We switched over to the Torp Bomber. That's going to be the most important. And we're just going to feed yum, yum, yum. More planes, more planes. That's all we want, especially in this ship. So pretty much an anti-AA platform. So, well, anti-AA, that's too many A's, but anti-aircraft platform. So, again, how I describe this is, now, again, before somebody yells at me in the comments about how different they are, it felt very Scharnhorst-esque because of the fast reload, because of the not overly big shells, but the reload for sure, and taking away the torps of a Scharnhorst. Imagine a Scharnhorst without torps with extremely high AA. So, people are basically saying, or comparing this to, okay, so this is a Scharnhorst with Gneisenau AA. I think that's pretty fair. Again, I find this ship extremely fun, and I love that it has a massive impact on the game. Right, this could be a game-winning ship when there's lots of CVs, because what are you gonna do with, with these? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing these ships can do. But again, potentially that opens it up for, is the AA on this ship too strong for this tier? Is it just too much AA? I think probably a little too much. Although like the Texas is extremely strong at 2.5, I think this might be too much. We haven't really seen an extremely high AA ship. Yes, you can spec out like the Bayern for really high AA. The Warspite even has some decent AA. There are some high AA ships, but I feel like this is maybe a tad too high, because you're gonna be going against tier 4, tier 5 planes. Well, I guess our stock tier 5s, tier 4s, I think they are. So really, and this, I was surprised this Badyani gave me this broadside. He had played this perfectly all game, and then he gives me this broadside, and well, there you go. Nothing much you can do there. But I feel like it's maybe a tad too high, and what I mean by that is these guys could probably send 2 full squads at me, and if I'm gonna WASD a little bit, I'll probably take out all of their planes, and they'll probably only get a few strike planes on me. They just won't have their planes just don't have enough health, and there's just no way that they'll get through. So is making this impenetrable AA ship that this thing is it nice? Oh my god, I loved it. I love not being able to get struck by planes. That's every battleship's wet dream. But do I think it's quite fair? I don't know. I think it's maybe tuned a little too high. But, you know, maybe that's the niche that they want this ship to be, of just being in this extremely strong AA platform. Like the Texas is at tier 5, like, you know, like the Gneisenau now even at tier 6. There's a couple other battleships, and so maybe that's kind of what they're focusing on. And if they are, well, they've succeeded, because this thing is insane. So, but anyways, a nice little game going, and I think we get a little bit more because we get to work on this battleship, or this cruiser right here. There's 31 planes so far. And as you can see, again, the dispersion, hot and cold, but I think we get him right here. We do not get him right here. So he's going to keep burning me down for a bit, because the German dispersion just isn't quite working for me. And I believe we go and we hunt down this the rest of the CV in the corner. Yeah, we end up killing this. We end up shooting down a few more planes as well. It was actually a really, really close game. Like, right? Like, I don't think we win this game if I'm not in this ship, to be honest. Because there's the Citadel right there, and I see the planes are coming from this corner, so we're gonna go chase him down there. I don't think that we win this game if I'm not in this ship. If I'm in a Fuso, I just don't think we win this game. I don't think I pump out. Maybe we kill those ships faster, but I feel like their CVs outplayed ours in the long run, and so I guess it's 3 kills versus 3 kills. But I feel like I can't make the push that I was making there. Maybe I hit harder on, like, maybe a more accurate ship. I feel like this is the only thing that really could have done this and really kind of had the impact of this hit, and that's why I love this ship. So we're going to end up going to this corner. I won't make you guys watch the last 3 minutes of it. So here we are in the post screen, and there we go, 123,000 damage. Pretty damn good. We ended up killing the CV, full life. He was sitting in the corner. 65 main bat hit, so you get the fast reload, so you're knocking out a bunch of salvos. 34 planes shot down, 4 kills, almost the Kraken, 4 Citadels. There's some secondary hits as well. But one thing that actually kind of surprised me was, and there's the base XP as well, 2100 base. I mean, that's pretty solid right there. Nice little division carry with that CV working with us too. Was the actual credit earnings for the ship, because it was actually seemed to be pretty good, and the break even's pretty nice. So not only is this a fun ship that's extremely strong, but earning 445,000 credits. That's just purely premium time. I don't throw on any flags. I don't throw on anything like that when it comes to these ships. So that's a lot of credits, just purely with the camo that comes with it. So a pretty good earning right there, and a fun tier 6. So overall, imagine a Scharnhorst gun play with the AA of Gneisenau or the AA of a Atlanta. If you spec out for it, that won't be as impactful if you don't spec out the captain. But overall, this ship is so much fun. I think it may be a little too much fun. Feels bad, man, for those mid-tier CVs. But overall, here's the review. Here's the preview of the Prinz Eitel Friedrich, the tier 6 German work-in-progress ship. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.